Welcome back to Ireland AM. We were just discussing issues that can hold up the sale of a house.
Yes, Solicitor Jacqueline Dunne has stayed with us. Jacqueline, thanks so much for that. We were just speaking to Pat Davitt, an auctioneer there as well. We were talking about the online auctions, and we're seeing that this has now become gamified. People are bidding against each other. It becomes not even real money. What sort of legal protections do you have if you buy a house on an online auction?
So what I found, I've recently been contacted by two different people where they went on these online auctions. They had gone to their bank, they had gotten approval in principle, so they knew how much money they had to bid. So in fairness to them, they did their due diligence. They went then online, they were the successful bidder. Now, this is very different to where you go to an auctioneer and you place your bid, because from when you pay your booking deposit to an auctioneer that way, to getting into binding contracts, your solicitor can check the title deeds, you can get your engineer out to inspect it. But in these two particular cases, they didn't do their due diligence, didn't pick up the phone to their solicitor. All they had gotten was their approval in principle, went online, were the successful bidders. And when you are the successful bidder, you instantly get into a legally binding contract and you pay your 10% of your deposit.
Even if they hadn't seen the house or had engineers?
Well, now, sometimes they may have seen the house, but in these two particular cases, they then picked up the phone to the solicitor. The solicitor, in a way, got the title deeds in then and the loan offer. And when a solicitor gets a loan offer, in the pack, they get a thing called an undertaking. So as a solicitor, I have to give an undertaking to the bank to say, I've reviewed the title deeds. I'm 100% happy that you're getting good, marketable title. Because the bank want to make sure that if they ever need to repossess the house, they'll have no issues reselling it. But in this case, these two cases, the solicitor said, hang on, I've looked at the title. The title is not all there. There's massive issues here. I can't give that undertaking to the bank. So now, even though they had gotten the approval in principle, because the solicitor wouldn't give the undertaking, the bank wouldn't give the money. But they were stuck in this legally binding contract.
And they've lost the
So now they've lost their 10% deposit.
They lost the deposit?
They'd lose their 10% deposit, yeah. Now, I don't know what's after happening at this stage. The solicitors for normally with these bidex online, it's normally a bank that's selling. It's a repossession. So who'd have the 10% deposit is the bank solicitors would be holding it. But if it falls through, it goes to the bank then, that 10% deposit. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a major
crazy
problem that people think this is like the gaming online. Let's just chance it. Let's go and...
So let's talk about the things that happen. So sale agreed in this country doesn't mean anything. It's not legally binding, right? You've gone sale agreed, grand, you've paid your deposit. So then someone has to go off and you have to get your engineer's report. You know, you might get your QS in. And if the sale falls through, say you're a buyer, that money's gone, right?
No.
No, but say you've paid for the engineer and all that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
That money is gone.
That money,
yeah.
like it's like...
And the thing is, if your solicitor has done some work on it and looked through the title deeds, before you get to the legally binding contract stage, yes, the solicitor will charge you money.
So people seem to be talking about that, losing an awful lot of money all the time, trying to buy a house and it falls through. And there's no recourse for that.
What about gazumping? Because this is something we hear about as well, particularly with how hot the market is at the minute. If we get sale agreed on 100 grand, not that there's many houses going for that, but somebody then comes in, sale agreed, yes, but if I offer another 10 grand cash, is the auctioneer allowed to go to the vendor and then change that process? Yeah.
So when you go sale agreed, you're the purchaser, you pay a booking deposit, it's called. So it's normally 5,000 or 10,000 to the auctioneer. That is a totally refundable deposit. So until you get to the stage where you and the vendor have executed the contracts and have exchanged them, so now both parties have contracts signed, and there could be a 5-week period between you paying your booking deposit to the auctioneer and that stage. If during that period, the vendor gets contacted and says, look, I'm going to give you an extra 10,000 for it, there is nothing legally stopping the vendor pulling that sale and going to the higher bidder. And of course, at that stage, the solicitor has done a massive amount of work, which they'll have to be paid for. And of course, you've got your engineer's costs.
So say if you were taking someplace like Scotland, where it's sealed bids.
Yes.
Like it's a like, do you think...
What does that mean?
You bid, no one knows how much you're bidding, so you can't, like, say if I'm online. I was watching an online bid, my friend was trying to buy a house last night.
Envelope and you don't know what
anyone's bid, and then the highest bid wins. This is their system. This is what happens. And the market isn't as hot when it comes to bidding wars there. Also, as we've mentioned, in places like Australia, you have to have everything in place. Do you think our system here works? Like I saw a bidding war last night, a house that was 575. And I think the last thing I saw, a friend just bought it, they were like at 760. And it was going up 5 grand, like every 5 minutes online. It was craziness. The system seems to be wrong. We have a hot market. House prices have gone up 12.3%. Do you think this works? Is sealed bids a good idea?
Do you know, I think the problem is there's such a shortage. Like anybody I know around in our locality, they can sell their house, no problem, but they're looking to move maybe out to the countryside. They have bids on their house they're selling, but they can't.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah,
Sellers
so
can't
they can't buy
buy.
a house out in the countryside. So that's drawn. They keep being outbid.
But if it was sealed bids, would we take some of the heat out of the market?
Well, then if you really want the house, then you might put extra money in. We have a message in, something similar to that. We were bidding on 2 houses 12 months ago. With one house, the bids jumped drastically. We felt like we were bidding against ourselves. We decided to go for the other house instead, but 6 months later, the second house sold for 30k less than our last bid. No transparency at all. We have a lot of text messages come through on this as well, so thank you so much.
Rachel, last year I moved home from Australia and found a house in the country. I offered the asking price and was told to wait to see. 2 months passed and another person was interested. 2 months! I had to enter a bidding war to pay €90,000 over the asking price. If you offer the asking price in Australia, it's yours unless there is someone else interested there and then. Here it seems there is no cut-off to accepting offers. And I've watched those bids in Australia. They're all standing outside, they bid and that's it, it's done.
Talk to us about boundaries, because that's another issue that comes up a lot in the deeds.
So remember I was telling you about 2 different types of title. You have a registry of deeds, but you've got the lovely land registry title. So now actually when I'm selling a property, I can nearly see before an engineer will tell me that there's a boundary issue. So if you go into landdirect.ie, you search with your air code, it will actually bring you up your boundaries. You will be able to see the boundaries of your property. And because the maps were digitised, they see the boundaries on the ground. So your red line is your land registry boundary, and that should be sitting lovely on the little grey line, which is the boundary on the ground. So I will be able to see if that red line is not sitting on the grey line, I know straight away there's a boundary issue. So before we'd even issue contracts, I'll be able to get onto the engineer to say, look, we need to do up a deed rectification. So what you do is you get the engineer to mark that little sliver of ground that is at issue. We do up a deed rectification. We have to contact the next door neighbour to say, will you sign this deed rectification to just rectify the boundaries? It tends not to be an issue unless, of course, the neighbour's title is Registry of Deeds title, or if the neighbour is
Jacqueline,
would you come back?
Yeah. Where can people find you online?
Dunne Solicitors on Facebook and thejourney.ie on Instagram.
Jacqueline Dunne, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. We will be revisiting this again. And just to let you know, always make sure to seek out any legal advice for specific issues that you are experiencing.
0896 111 111. Let us know your thoughts on everything. We'll see you after this break.
Shortly.